That night, Louise walked in like she'd just come back from a party she never wanted to end. Her cheeks were flushed, and her lipstick was smudged more than I liked. I stayed on the couch, didn't even bother to look up. In one hand, I held an envelope. In the other, my glass of whiskey. The second she saw me, she stopped cold. For just a moment, I caught it on her face. Surprise, guilt. But she erased it fast like it never happened. She was good at that. Louise was always quick to cover her tracks, always slick with her lies. But this time there was no way out. She knew it till evening, I said, keeping my voice calm, even though I felt like a wire ready to snap. She didn't answer right away. She dropped her purse on the table and gave me a strange little smile. "Vi, you're home earlier than usual." I handed her the envelope, still sounding too calm for comfort. "Thought I'd give you something," I said. Her eyes narrowed as she took it, already nervous, but she opened it anyway. She peeled it open slowly like she thought it might blow up in her hands. Inside were the photos, clear as day. Her and another man wrapped around each other, laughing, holding hands, her head on his shoulder like he was everything she ever wanted. Last week, I found a receipt that didn't add up. That's when I hired the private investigator. He earned every cent. I watched as her face drained of color. For a second, I felt a cold satisfaction watching her go pale. "What is this, Nicholas?" she asked, barely able to get the words out. I leaned forward, kept my tone steady. "Don't fight it, sweetheart. It'll be easier that way." She stepped back, almost tripping over herself as if the floor moved under her. "It's not what it looks like," she said, but her voice cracked. I raised an eyebrow, biting back a laugh. "No, because it looks like my wife's been creeping around behind my back, making me look like a damn idiot. So, tell me, Louise, what does it look like to you?" For once, she didn't have that fake calm. Didn't flash that smug smile she always used when lying came easy. Her hand shook as she fumbled for her phone, probably hoping someone could drag her out of the mess she made. "You need his help to explain?" I asked, nodding toward the photos. "Hell, maybe I should just call him myself, invite him over. We can talk this out, all three of us." Her jaw tightened. "Don't you dare, Nicholas. This is not what you think," she said quickly. "He's just a friend." "A friend?" My blood boiled, but I didn't let it show. I stayed calm, holding back the fire rising in my chest. "You treat all your friends like that? Or is he just your favorite?" I snapped. She opened her mouth, ready with another lie, but I shut her down. "Don't even try, Louise. I've got more than just those pictures, hotel bills, texts, everything. You really thought you could hide it forever?" She stepped back again, her expression twisting with anger now, like I was the one who did something wrong. "You're really going to throw away 6 years over a few lousy pictures?" she said, her voice full of fake shock. "You're being dramatic." "Dramatic?" I repeated, stunned. "You cheated on me, Louise." Lied straight to my face. "You made me feel like I was going crazy while you were out with him doing God knows what." But she didn't blink. She just stood there like she didn't care. And that's when it hit me. She didn't. No apology, no guilt, nothing. Just rage. Not because she felt bad, but because I'd ruined her little secret world. The air was thick with tension. I half expected her to cry or beg or give me some half-hearted excuse. But she didn't. Instead, she crossed her arms and glared at me like I was the one who betrayed her. "So what now, Nicholas?" she sneered. "You going to sit there with that smug look, acting like you've won something?" It was like a switch flipped inside her. All that sweetness she used to cover up her lies gone. No mask this time. This was the real Louise. Cold, arrogant, shameless. "You want to know what now?" I said, standing up slowly. I let the silence stretch. Let it burn. "Now you start talking from the beginning. Who is he?" She rolled her eyes, not even trying to fake it anymore. "Why should I tell you anything so you can play the victim? I'm not here for your little show." Her voice was sharp, ice cold. The woman I thought I knew wasn't in the room anymore. I clenched my jaw, staying in control. "Let me get this straight, Louise. You lie for months, sneak around like a coward, and I don't even deserve an explanation." She groaned and threw up her hands. "Fine," she snapped. "You want the truth? You miss. He makes me feel alive. I wouldn't have had to do any of this if you weren't so damn predictable. Always working late, always just going through the motions. You left me alone in this marriage, Nicholas." I stared at her, stunned. So that was it. That was her excuse. "I see," I said, disbelief dripping from my voice. "So cheating was your solution because I was out working to keep a roof over our heads?" "Don't twist my words," she shot back, eyes burning. "If you hadn't checked out months ago, I wouldn't have needed to look somewhere else." She stared at me like I was a stranger. "You're a good provider, Nicholas, but that's all you've been for a long time." I laughed bitterly, shaking my head. "What did you want me to be? Louise? A mind readator? I thought we were a team. You couldn't talk to me, be honest, like people in a real marriage." She scoffed and turned away, arms crossed, dismissive. "You would have just twisted it, made me feel guilty for being unhappy. You always do that." And just like that, everything came into focus. I wasn't looking at the woman I married. I was looking at a stranger. She had been hiding in plain sight, letting me see only what she wanted me to believe. And now that the truth was out, She didn't even bother to fake it anymore. Well, I said, my voice low. The disgust was almost too much to swallow. So that's it. You outgrew us, or just got tired of pretending to care? She stared me down, defiant. Believe whatever you want, Nicholas. I'm done pretending for you. Her coldness hit like a punch. She didn't care that she'd torn apart everything we built. She didn't care that she'd made a fool out of me. All she cared about was herself, and something shifted inside me right then. I didn't feel sad. I didn't feel broken. I felt clear. All right, I said, voice steady. If you're done pretending, then so am I. Her eyes narrowed, unsure of what that meant. But I wasn't broken anymore. I was done playing nice. She thought she'd won. Thought she'd crushed me. But she was about to see what happens when I stopped holding back. For the first time that night, Louise looked unsure. She didn't know what to expect, and that's when I knew I had the upper hand. Maybe she thought I'd lose it. Shout, break something, storm out, hand over the house and the life we built like it meant nothing to me. Like that's all she ever wanted. But she had no idea what was coming. She hadn't seen this side of me yet. But she would. I had a plan, and I wasn't about to give her a single advantage. All right, Louise, I said, my voice cold and flat. You're done pretending. Pretending? She echoed, trying to sound offended. I'm done pretending, I repeat, letting the silence stretch just long enough to make her squirm. You know what? Let's keep this simple. No arguments, no screaming. Since you think I'm just the guy who pays the bills, I'll make sure you're covered. I paused, letting it sit before adding, but I've got one last thing for you. She rolled her eyes, tossed her hair like I was telling a joke, like I was the joke. Oh yeah, what's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done with drama. I'm giving you what you want, I said, stepping toward her slow and steady. Freedom, him, or whoever else you've got waiting in the wings. I watched her closely. That confidence started to crack. Her eyebrows pulled together. She was finally catching on. You're serious? I nodded, dead calm, dead serious. We'll get it all in writing. We split clean and easy. Just one condition that got her attention. Her body stiffened like she felt the trap before I even sprung it. What condition? She asked, guarded. Now I let a slow smile rise. You agree to the divorce. No alimony. You leave with what you brought in, and I do the same. If we sell the house, we split it. But after that, you're on your own. I'm not giving you a cent. Your boyfriend can pay your bills from now on. Her jaw dropped. Rage replaced shock in a blink. Are you insane, Nicholas? You think I'm walking away from this with nothing? I've been your wife for 6 years. You can't just throw me out like trash. Oh, I can, I said without a single emotion in my voice. Well, you can stay right here alone. In this life you're so miserable in. Either way, I'm done being your fool. Her hands balled into fists, her eyes locked on mine, searching for weakness. But she didn't find any. She knew I wasn't bluffing. You really think you can cheat me out of what I deserve? She hissed. I let out a dry, humorless laugh. You still don't get it. I've been playing your game this whole time, and now it's mine. I'm being generous, more than you deserve. You got 24 hours. Take it or leave it. After that, my lawyer takes over. Her face twisted into something bitter and furious. But I didn't move. I didn't flinch. No more guilt. No more giving in. I could finally see her for who she really was. The mask was gone. She wasn't confused. She wasn't broken. She was selfish, cold, always had been. I looked at her one last time, then turned and walked upstairs. I didn't owe her another second of my time. Let her stew in it. The clock had started ticking, and when it hit 0, everything would change. She'd lose everything because she chose to throw it all away. The next morning, I left without saying a word. Didn't care if she was crying, screaming, or plotting her next move. None of it mattered now. I had things to do. First stop, my lawyer's office. I wasn't leaving any of this to chance. I wanted to stand clean. No loopholes, no room for her to twist things to her advantage. That's why I went to Oliver, my old college friend, now a seasoned divorce lawyer. He'd been through hell with his own ex, so he knew exactly the type of woman Louise had turned into. I laid it all out for him. Every message, every lie, every piece of proof. I watched his face change as he read through it. The usual lawyer calm, slipping into something colder, more focused. He pulled up a file and scrolled through it quickly, then looked at me, his eyes sharp. So she agrees to the deal, she walks away with nothing, he asked. If she signs, she gets out clean. If she fights, she gets crushed, I said, every word like a final nail in the coffin. No mercy. She chose this path. Let her live with it. Oliver nodded, already jotting down notes. He slid a stack of papers across the desk toward. Given what you've shown me, no judge is siding with her. If she tries this to court, she'll lose and fast. She'll burn money on lawyers and end up walking out with a suitcase if she's lucky. I dipped the pen and signed. No hesitation. Each stroke was a clean cut, a line drawn. This wasn't just divorce. It was a reset. The rope tying me to her was finally snapping. No more lies. No more bending to keep the peace. I was done playing along. This was my move now, and I was ready to see it through. Next, I called the movers. Told them what to pack, where to bring it. I'd leave Louise in the house until it's sold. Let her pretend she wants something. But I wasn't leaving any of myself behind. Not one photo. Not a single sock. Every box packed felt like I was peeling off the past. Every step out of that house was one step closer to freedom. I hadn't felt this clear-headed in years. When I got back, the clock was almost up, and there she was, sitting at the dining table, staring into a coffee cup she hadn't touched. Her mascara had run from the night before, her eyes puffy, like she'd cried herself out. She looked up at me, that same mixture of anger and begging behind her eyes. "You really think this is fair?" she said, voice softer, almost shaking, like she was hoping for a sliver of sympathy. That was all she had left. I dropped my keys on the counter and sat across from her, calm and steady. I met her gaze without blinking. "I think it's the most fair thing I've ever done in this marriage," I said. She flinched like I'd slapped her without lifting a hand. "So that's it," she whispered. "You're just done." I leaned back in my chair, arms folded. "I give you a choice. You walk or you fight and lose. That's simple." I glanced at my watch. "You've got 2 hours." The silence between us was thick, heavy, like a final standoff. She twisted her fingers, staring down, searching for some way out, some angle left to work. I could almost see the gears grinding in her head, but I wasn't playing anymore. Finally, she looked up, and there it was. That cold defiance again. That edge she used when she thought she was still in control. "Fine," she snapped. "I'll sign it." Then she leaned in slightly, her voice dropping to a low hiss. "But don't think this is the end, Nicholas. I don't need you. I'll do better without you." I didn't say a word. I just nodded once. Let her believe whatever made her feel strong, but deep down she knew she lost. I almost laughed right then and there, but I held it back, kept my face blank. "Keep telling yourself that," I muttered, just loud enough for her to maybe hear. But I didn't care either way. She didn't wait. She snatched the pen off the table and signed the papers. Her hand shook slightly. I caught it, a tiny crack in the mask. She slammed the pen down, stood up, and brushed past me without a single word. And just like that, it was done. No more lies. No more pretending. I watched her walk out of the room, and something unexpected hit me. No rage, no guilt, not even sadness. Just relief, because for the first time, I knew it was really over. It should have ended there. A clean break. I was ready to walk away and let her live in whatever fantasy world she thought she wanted. But Louise, she was never going to let me have the last word. The next morning, I woke up to my phone vibrating nonstop. At first, I thought it was work, maybe a string of emails, but it wasn't. It was messages from friends, coworkers, even people I hadn't spoken to in years, all asking the same thing. "Is it true? Are you and Louise getting divorced?" That's when I realized Louise had already started talking. She'd been quick about it, spreading her version of the story like wildfire. She'd had it ready, her own script, but I wasn't playing her game anymore. This time, I wasn't going to be blindsided. As the messages kept rolling in, I saw it for what it was, just another play, another chance for her to control the story. She couldn't stand the idea of losing on my terms. And even now, she was still trying to twist it all around. Of course, her version was exactly what I expected her as, the poor abandoned wife. Me as the cold-hearted villain who left her out of nowhere. She always knew how to make herself the victim. Then I got a text that stopped me cold. It was from my sister. I heard what she said, but it doesn't sound like you, Nicholas. Call me when you can. My sister had never trusted Louise. She'd always kept her guard up, and now I was glad she had. I called her immediately and told her everything, how I found out about the affair, how I confronted Louise, the offer I gave her, and how she snapped when she realized I was done playing along. There was a pause on the other end before she spoke. "She's telling people you neglected her, that you just cut her off without warning. She says you left her with nothing." I clenched my jaw. Of course, she did. I could already picture it. Louise curled up on someone's couch, fake tears running, spinning a tale of heartbreak while she rewrote the past. "Thanks for telling me," I said, keeping my voice calm. "I've got a plan. She's not getting away with this." The rest of that day moved fast. I called Oliver again and asked if there was any way to hold Louise accountable if she kept spreading lies. He was cautious. Said defamation was tricky, hard to prove, but if we gathered proof, there could be a case. That was all I needed. I started reaching out to mutual friends, people who'd known us both. Quiet conversations, careful questions, and one by one, the truth came out. Louise had been calling everyone she could, crying on the phone, painting herself as the heartbroken wife I'd blindsided. Most of them were shocked when I told them what had really happened. One of them even said, "Honestly, Nicholas, I never fully trusted her." But the way she talked, it was hard not to believe her. Then came the final piece. That evening, one of my friends forwarded me an email. It was an invite. Louise had planned a support gathering, a night with friends, a chance, she said, to share her truth and heal. I actually laughed out loud. She wanted an audience. Fine, she'd get one. But I was done letting her write the story. With my phone in hand, I hit record. No shouting, no drama, just the truth. I spoke directly, calmly, like I was giving a statement. I explained how I found out about her cheating, how I confronted her, how I gave her a choice, how she tried to twist it even after it was over. I didn't drag up every dirty detail, but I gave enough to make it clear. This wasn't revenge. This was truth, plain and simple. When I finished recording, I didn't blast it out. I sent it quietly to a few people I trusted. The kind who would share it without turning it into drama. The kind who knew how to let the truth speak for itself. The response came fast. Within the hour, my phone was lighting up texts, calls, messages from people I hadn't heard from in months. But this time, it wasn't confusion. It was support, apologies, understanding. Some just sent a thumbs up. No words needed, but I could feel it. The story was shifting. Louise's carefully built version of events cracking apart in real time. She thought she could rewrite everything, turn herself into the victim and me into the monster. But now people were finally seeing her for who she really was. And that was all the closure I needed. It didn't take long for the fallout to hit. Her support gathering, the fake tears, performance useless now. My video spread fast, faster than she expected. Her story unraveled thread by thread. People who had once backed her went quiet. Some sent me messages saying they were sorry. Others didn't say a thing. They just stopped believing her. But the message I didn't expect came 2 days later from him, her lover. I was sitting at work when I saw the email. Subject line, "We need to talk." At first, I almost deleted it, assuming it was spam or worse, another twist of the knife from Louise. But I opened it, and I'm glad I did. Turns out the guy, let's call him Elton, had seen the video. Whether it came through a friend or made its way to him directly, I don't know. But he'd watched it, and he was writing to apologize. He said he didn't know the full story, that Louise told him I was distant, cold, emotionally checked out, said I was the one who drove her away. But after seeing the truth, after hearing how it really went down, he realized he'd been played, too. If I had known, he wrote, I never would have gotten involved with her. He ended the message with one final line. I'm done. I don't want to be part of the mess she created. I leaned back in my chair and let that sink in. Louise had lost everything, her marriage, her reputation, and now the guy she'd thrown it all away for. She built this mess. Now she was buried in it. I forwarded the email to Oliver. Just added a quick note. And is to the file. He replied within minutes, noted, this is gold. And for the first time in a long time, I felt peace. Not revenge, not satisfaction, just the stillness. Knowing that I didn't have to say a word. Her own choices had done the work for me. She lit the fire. I just watched it burn. That evening, it got even better. My phone rang. Her name flashed on the screen. Over and over. I let it buzz. She called again and again. Eventually, I picked up curiosity won out. I kept my voice flat. Come out. There was a pause, a shaky breath. Then her voice low and drained. Nicholas, we need to talk about what? I asked. The damage you've done or the lies you've been spreading? She hesitated. I saw the video. Why would you do that? Do you even know what you started? I almost laughed. What I've started, I said. I did what you never could. I told the truth. Her tone cracked half anger, half desperation. Now everyone's turning on me. People I thought were my friends. They're blocking me, ignoring me. They think I'm some kind of monster. I didn't flinch. That's not my fault. Louise. That's yours. You built this. Maybe next time, think before you tear people apart. She tried to pull it back. I could hear the shift. Please. It doesn't have to end like this. We had 6 years. Doesn't that mean anything? I'll let the silence sit. Let it cut deep. Then I spoke slow and cold. 6 years mean nothing when they're built on lies. You made your choice, Louise, and now you live. Silence. Then softly, like something had finally snapped in her. I didn't think you'd ever stand up to me like this. I let out a dark, bitter laugh. That's the problem. You never really knew me. Then I hung up just like that. No second thoughts. No looking back. She could keep crying, keep playing her part. But now people knew the truth and there was no rewinding it. But just when I thought it was finally over, when I could breathe easy again, a message came in from a friend and I knew this wasn't done yet. Dude, have you seen Lewis's latest post? That was the message I got, just a link. I hesitated, then clicked. It took me straight to her public page. There it was. A long, dramatic caption paired with a perfectly staged selfie. The kind that looked like it came straight from a bad breakup montage. Eyes red, hand to her face, head tilted just right. When the person you trusted most betrays you, leaving you in pieces and alone, it's hard to even recognize yourself. I thought we were building a future, but some people just don't know how to stay when things get tough. It was a performance, a carefully rehearsed act. She wasn't just posting, she was auditioning. Every word was designed to paint her as the victim, to keep whatever sympathy she had left. But something was off. You could feel it in the tone. Like even she didn't believe it anymore. In the comments, they told a very different story. What was meant to win people over started to blow up in her face. People who once backed her were changing sides. The shift was obvious. Some apologized for not seeing it sooner. Others didn't bother with long messages, just a thumbs up or a simple, now I understand. It was enough. Her lies couldn't hold up anymore. One after another, the truth came pouring out. Friends and family who had seen my video weren't staying silent. They dropped comments that cut straight through her facade. Wait, you cheated, and he's the bad guy? Come on. This isn't heartbreak. This is damage control. Own it, Louise. You played the game and lost. Each post, each reply chipped away at the story she built for herself. The sympathy train had officially derailed, but instead of stopping, she leaned in even harder, filled her page with vague quotes about strength and healing, pretending to rise from the ashes like some broken warrior queen. The messages stopped landing. No one believed her anymore. Then her voicemails filled my inbox: anger, heartbreak, blame. I ignored them, realizing her desperation wasn't my concern. She was drowning in her own lies. Days later, Claire Warrenby Louise was unraveling, blaming everyone, losing touch with reality. The mask was slipping, the support circle had failed her. Her frantic posts declined in likes, and the audience disappeared. Claire said she was leaving. She'd packed up her things. I felt release, peace settling in as the chaos faded. The house felt still, like it had waited for her to go. Her lies were gone with her possessions, leaving a blank space to rebuild. Sitting alone later, I realized the silence was earned, not lonely. Messages from old friends praised my truth, including Melanie, her ex-friend, who confessed she'd once been manipulated. I saw clearly now, Louise never changed. She was manipulative, and her mask had finally fallen. One evening, I sat outside with whiskey as the sunset turned trees gold. I sent her a final truthful message: don't mistake my silence for forgiveness, and then blocked her. Watching the sunset, I felt a shift, closure, peace. I'd won, not through revenge, but by reclaiming myself. The next morning, I felt freedom, quiet, gentle, filling me as resentment faded. I returned to routines, friends, hobbies, felt more like myself than I had in years. I was living, not just surviving.